Welcome to the Barton Racing YouTube channel. This week we're at Silverstone for the Silverstone Festival weekend. We're racing with the Masters Historic Racing crew. However, there were also motor racing legends and Historic Sports Car Club at the weekend. But we were mainly with Masters, with our Toyota Supra, our TVR Griffith and our BMW 1800 TiSa. I hope you enjoy.
Wild as they show off their trophies and take part in the celebration for the final podium of the Silverstone Festival 2024.
What happened in the BMW race?
Well, the BMW race with the pre-66 touring cars was a near 60 car grid. There was loads and loads of people in that grid, usually meaning that the amount of people in there, some of them hadn't been out for the rest of the year. You could tell that they weren't practicing racecraft and weren't practicing being aware with what's around them, with checking the mirrors and things like that. So you could tell that the racing was a lot harder. A lot of people were racing like it was the last round of the British Touring Car Championship. So I drove in a different way to what I usually do. I tried to create a bubble around the car to try and not get damaged. However, there was an incident on track where a guy pushed me off onto the grass. I couldn't get the car slowed, and yeah, we had contact with someone. Everyone was all right, and I had a chat with the guy at the end, and he just completely understood, especially seeing that someone else pushed me off beforehand. So yeah, it didn't go brilliantly.
Having contact and retiring must affect you. How do you reset to focus on the next race?
Well, the TVR race was immediately after that. Having retired mid-race is never good, and it was quite a low point of the weekend, especially as I wanted to make sure the car came away unscathed and finished. So what I did was I just took my helmet off and cooled down a little bit, and then I got myself back ready, sat in the TVR for a while, just made sure everything was going through, just basically tried to reset myself and just go through my normal processes and try and just present this new race, the new set of challenges. Obviously it's quite hard mentally, but you just have to fight through that, and yeah, we ended up with getting a third place in the TVR.
Is there anything you would have done differently in any of the races?
Well, I felt the Toyota race went as well as it could have done. We had rain all that day and it started to dry for our session, so I decided to put wet tyres on. With the help of the team, we decided to do that, and that was definitely the tyre to be on, and we raced through it. We decided not to put the dry tyres on again, and we decided to just try and bear our way through it because we were hoping the rain would come. The rain eventually did come, but then they red flagged the race because everyone else was on slick, so we did make the call right. However, the situation just wasn't there for it. The BMW, obviously, as I previously explained, we had contact and had to retire from the race, and obviously that's not anything that I really want to happen. So yes, in the event I've done differently, I just really not try at all and just try to bring back and just create that bubble until there was a point where everyone was spaced out and calmed down enough from the start of the race to then start pushing on, because the contact happened on lap 2 of the race. The TVR, I felt it went really, really well, considering we got a podium in 3rd place. However, I started to fear that I was pushing the brakes a bit too hard towards the end of the stint, and I started to pull back a little bit. In hindsight, I felt like the brakes could have gone to the end, so I should have pushed on a little harder and maybe fought for the win, but you know, we don't know what would have happened. But yeah, if I'd had to do it again, I might have pushed harder in that last stint in the TVR.
What is it like driving at Silverstone, and what is it like taking part in the festival?
Well, driving at Silverstone is always an honour. It's the home of British motorsport and a great icon for Formula 1 and things like that, and it's a brilliant circuit. I've always had a love-hate relationship with the circuit because there's 18 corners and they've got very unique characteristics where it's like, okay, well, got to do this, got to do that, make sure you've got to hit every apex, use all the width of the track consistently, and you know, if you're losing a tenth a corner, you know, it's 18 corners, so it's 1.8 seconds a lap. So when I was first starting to learn to race, it was a very tricky track to get hold of. The festival offers a unique challenge as well, because they change the circuit a little bit. They use a historic veil where ordinarily you'd stop and do a chicane for one of the final corners, whereas now it's a cut through and you have to take a lot of speed through. The festival's definitely one of the bigger events this year. It's almost like a smaller, toned down version of the Goodwood Revival. There's loads of different racing clubs that come out and help organise it. It's very well organised there. However, there's a lot of stress, so there's a lot of big numbers coming through. There's loads of spectators, loads of competitors, so it's a very hectic weekend with a lot of stress, and there's a lot of trials through the weekend. So yeah, it's always interesting to see how we have to go about and try and we've got these obstacles in the way, let's just try and calm down and get through the weekend and try and achieve the best result with the car we can, and watching afterwards the result that we've created. So it's it's always an interesting one. I thought I'd start off by showing you around the lap at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit using the historic Vale. We're here in the BMW TiSa going across the start finish line now. Here we are at turn 1, which is Abbey going into Farm. You have to brake, change down, turn in, hit the apex, get back on the power, use the full width of the track, open up a little bit, then come back in, hug the corner, and then exit out towards the right hand side. You pull back over to the left to open up the next corner, which is Village, turn right, it's a real sharp right hand, you have to restart the car, you have to open up the next corner, which is the Loop, come back in, accelerate out. You've got to get a really good exit here, because after this next corner you're on a really long straight, so you're going to have to try and prioritise your exit there, try and get as fast as you can and try and lose as little speed as possible, because it carries all the way down this straight. The next corner up is Brooklands, and what you need to do is brake and then turn in earlier than you think. You have to really start to hug this corner, hit the apex here and accelerate, use the full width of the road, then brake, cut the apex, and it's essentially a double right-hander for Luffield. You have to come out a little bit, then cut back in and accelerate out, use all the exit. Then you have to really build the speed, sweep in for the right-hander of Woodcut, and sweep on the way out using all the width of the road, because it's quite a real fast, high-speed section. You need to carry all the speed you can. Brake now, this famous corner Cops. You've got to bring as much speed as you can through here. I slightly missed the apex, but that's okay, because I think I've got a little bit more speed coming through there. Changing up into top gear now, just picking my marker, opening up the corner, which is for Maggots, and then Beckett's. You have to cut across, back on power to try and set up the car, then coming across here for the left, then braking again for another right. You've got to prioritise your exit here, because it then comes onto a really big straight. Carry as much speed as you can and make sure you don't lose any form of speed. Now I'm thinking, okay, next up is Stowe Corner. It's a real off-camber, long right-hander. It comes up this hill, and as soon as you brake, I'm looking for my braking mark on the left, which is the change the gravel. And you're turning in, hold this apex tight, and it starts to fall away from you, so you have to really keep the car balanced. Use all the road and go onto the curb. Now you open up the right-hander and sweep in for the left of this historic Vale, then braking here, turn right, try and get a slide on to try and carry as much speed as you can going on to the start-finish straight. And that's a lap of the historic Vale chicane at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Silverstone Festival is a really interesting race meeting. There's so many different clubs that come here, and there's so many different people that come and start racing here. You can see there's so many cars in this touring car grid, but that means a lot of these people are out of practice. You don't know who they are, you've never really raced them before. I just want to show you how much chaos it is on lap 1 of this historic race. My priority for lap 1 is to try and come out the other side of it with no damage. I'm trying to make sure the car is looked after and has very little damage. With this kind of race, I'm trying to be a little bit drawn back. It's a bit different to how I usually start my races. I usually go quite aggressive and try and get out in front of people, trying to get back on the lap time as quick as I can, whereas everyone else takes a little bit of time to warm up. Here I'm trying to give everyone a bit of a bubble, trying to keep out the way of everyone, because I really don't trust any of these guys. They're all racing like it's the final round of the British Touring Car Championship. Everyone's trying to win. As you can see here, I've got a Mini on my left. I turn in and then he uses all the width of the road, so I was thinking, well, if I was on the outside there, I'd be pushed off onto the grass. And you can see there a Mustang going down this really small gap on the left hand side. I'm having to be really, really careful here, just making sure that no one's coming across me, everyone knows where I am, but even then, I don't think anyone cared. I'm trying to be as cautious as I can into this corner. You can see here I'm just looking down the inside of this red car in front of me, but I had no faith that he wasn't going to cut back across me, so I'm just deciding to back off a little bit. Okay, it's got a bit more time in the race. Let's try and get a gap and see if I can attack some of these people here. There's a Cortina on the left that splits me and the Mustang that's on the left. I decide to let him go because he's going to try and go for this next apex. He misses, so I try and get as good of an exit as I can to try and strike back against him. All of a sudden he cuts all the way across the track, and at least he's seen me here and giving me a bit of room. I know into this next bit that he's going to try and race me, so I decided to back out of it a little bit, and good thing I did, because look, he left me no room there. I just wanted to make sure I've got as much room as I can. It's really a war of attrition on this track at this time. It's so hard to keep your own space and make sure no one's going to hurt you and try and get damage, really. It's a real tough balance to strike of trying to get the performance as well as looking after your own car. I know the car on the left of me, I've had a good race with him at Donington before, but however he has been a little bit tough on me in times. As you can see here, he's gone wide at Stowe and overtaken me off track, which really isn't allowed. However, at Silverstone, we've just got to get on with it. He gets me into the Vale, I'm just backing off a little bit just to watch what everyone's doing. I get a good exit coming out of the Vale and coming out of Club. So I'm chasing these guys in front of me. I can see what they're all doing. I had a quick look just to see what everyone's doing. I open up the corner, I can see the guy in front of me is taking a narrow line. I'm thinking, okay, I've got a bit of a gap now. I'll try and attack these guys. Well, sadly for me, this guy pushes me over onto the grass. I try and get the car back, and sadly it ends in contact, which meant that I had to retire from the race due to damages. Here we are with the TVR race. I qualified 5th on the grid, which is fantastic because I know the guys in front of me are very aggressive racers. Again, the priority is trying to escape with as little damage as possible and try and get as fast as I can. So I'm glad that I got 5th because I can see everyone in front of me, I can see what they're doing. I accelerate now, it's gone green. I know there's a Ginetta to the left of me that he's going to try and outbrake me into Village in the Loop, which is coming up, so I'm just going to try and bide my time, try and see what these guys will do, trying to settle myself into the rhythm of this race. I see everyone's defending from each other, so I'm going for a bit more of a medium line. The Ginetta gets me onto the brakes here as I was expecting. I'm trying to cut back on everyone. I don't mind the Ginetta getting me because I know that I can get him on straight line speed. I try and switch back on everyone. It doesn't quite work out. The front's still a little bit cold. I get a bit good of an exit, and I can see now I've got a good exit here. I'm going to try and start attacking the Daytona and the Ginetta in front of me. I start closing in the Ginetta. I know he's going to have me on brakes into this corner. However, I'm going to keep it out wide. Everyone's gone narrow. I'm going to try and swoop in here, watching everyone and just making sure I'm giving everyone enough racing room just to allow themselves to do what they need to do, and I'll try and sweep up any mistakes that they make. You can see here that the Daytona Cobra of Julian Thomas has gone wide on the left. I decided to capitalise on that mistake and go past him here. Got a great exit. I'm on the back of the Ginetta in front of me. I can now switch to the inside, get in front of him. I know he's going to try and have me on the brakes here, so I just brake a little bit later, sweep in, try and carry as much speed as possible and get on the power as soon as possible. That way I can start to leave him behind and start to focus on John Davison and the TVR in front of me. Going into Maggots and Beckett's now, try and carry a little bit more speed than I usually do, just try and cut in here, try and keep the car stable. I'm watching what John's doing. I can see here that he's struggling for grip. It means I've got a bit more grip here. I know I can get a good drive out of this corner. I've made up a little bit more time on him, trying to stay with him, trying to keep on him that way. If he makes any mistakes, I can capitalise on that. I found that my strengths here with this car and at this track is carrying a lot of minimum speed through these high speed corners. I make up a little bit more time on him through Stowe, then through this next bit, which is the Vale, I carry a bit more speed and I sort of brake here to destabilise the car and get it sliding so I can get a really good exit out of Club. And you can see here me trying to slide the car and trying to get a good exit. I'm staying on John here. I know the race is on for me to try and get third position. I switch back to open up the corner because I'm trying to press John as much as I can. I go through, I'm carrying a little bit more speed. You can see I'm starting to make up some time on John here. He sticks to the inside, try and go over to the left. I was just braking a tad earlier because I know he's compromised his line. I'm just trying to get my line perfect, trying to get the exit I can as perfect as I can. I switch back here, trying to get any move done that I can. I'm trying to get a good exit here. It's not going to work right now, but I'm right on him here. I know I've got a good exit. Just trying to carry the speed, carry it out. I can see he's moving over to the left now. I decide to switch back over to the right, which means that I'll have the outside line going into Brooklands. He's already decided early that he's going to take the inside line, so I already know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to switch back, trying to catch the apex at Brooklands, and I'm going to try and do a wide line coming through Luffield. This means that I can switch back and go into the gap that he's going to make. As you can see here, I'm trying to get as good of an exit as I can. I'm changing here, I've got a good exit, I overlap him here, and I do make the move going into Woodcut, and I'm going to try and solidify that move by moving over to the left hand side here, braking, and then turning in as high speed as I can for Cops, and that was the move done that I made for third. Later on in the race, I managed to do a really good lap time that solidified my placing as third, and meant that I finished the race in the podium positions behind the two Daytona Cobras of Olivier Hart and Julian Thomas. Please enjoy this lap as I'm going around at high speed, and I really enjoyed it as well. Here we are for the race for the Toyota. It's rained all weekend here, and what we decided to do is stay on wets. Everyone else has gone for dry. It does look dry, but we decide actually it looks a bit too wet for us, so we're going to stay on wets. And you can see here there's spray of the car in front of me. The light has gone green, however we're doing a yellow flag start procedure, which means turn 4 at the loop we have to wait for the green flag and start overtaking after that. So I'm just watching everyone here, watching all the spray and watching how everyone's reacting to the surface, and I'm like, right, okay, I've got a lot more grip than these guys. Let's try and plan and see how I can make moves and start making progress around this lap. So here we are going through Village. The loop is next, and you can see the green flag on the right is waving. So I'm just going to try and get a good exit coming out of this corner. Now, bam, it's gone green. We're going to try and start racing here. Got a lot of good grip on the way through here, and as you can see, Lotus on the right hand side. I managed to get a good exit and start carrying some speed down this next straight. I'm now trying to chase the next lot of cars in front of me, and I'm now on them because I can go later on the brakes and go a lot faster into these corners because it's wet and everyone's on slicks apart from myself. As you can see, the wet's with the right tyre to be on at this point in the race. I decided to go on around the outside of these guys because I've got a lot more grip. I'm a bit cautious because I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope they don't slide wide, but they give me a lot of racing room, which is brilliant, and I'm on the Lamborghini in front of me. I go on the outside, I've got way more grip than he does, and I can carry a load more speed than he's able to, and that's a few opening moves of that opening lap. As you can see here, I've caught up to the next bunch of cars later on in the race. I'm braking a little bit later than they are. I can turn and use all the grip on the outside of the circuit. I've got the Ferrari on around the outside of him. I've made that move stick. I'm trying to go towards the outside of the Audi. I know I can brake a little bit later than he can. I'm conscious of this Porsche trying to get to the apex, but he gives me a lot of racing room, which is brilliant. The Ferrari in front of me is very nervous. You can see here that he's not taking a lot of speed through these corners at all. You can see he's lost a little bit of front grip and he's run wide. It's hampered my performance. The Porsche gets back at me. However, I can get a really good exit here. But because he's on slick tyres and I'm on wet, you can see the pace difference in the corners, but he's still a lot faster than me on the straight. You can see here he's got so much power and he's deploying that down this straight. I know I can brake later than him, but I'm not quite sure if he's seen me or whether he's got as much control over the car as I have. I give him a little bit of room. He decides to give me a room, which is brilliant. I then take the outside line around left field to try and get the move done. I'm trying to carry as much speed as I can to try and stay with the Porsche and the Lamborghini in front. That way I can start making those positions as well. As you can see here, I carried a lot more speed than they did through Woodcut. I'm starting to look down the inside, decide to not go for it. I brake a little bit later, I carry a bit more speed. I know I've got a lot of front grip, so I decide to switch back through Cops, get the power planted. He's got a bit more power than me going towards Maggots and Beckett's. He switches over to the other side. I can now see that he's going to take a little bit more speed in than I am, which means that I can get the switch back. He's gone a bit wide. I've gone around the outside of him through Maggots and Beckett's. Now I'm just going to try and switch back and get a really good exit going back onto the straight. As you can see here, it gives me a gap. I've got a good exit and I get that move done. Later on in the race, the track's starting to dry a little bit more, so the pace difference isn't as big. There's a stopped car on the right, so I wasn't allowed to overtake him until I got past that green light on the right hand side. You can see here, he's got a lot more power than me, but he's not got as much grip. It's starting to become a bit more difficult to get these guys. Going around the outside, trying to get the grip, got the front grip on the right hand side, so I'm just going to try and get as good of an exit as I can. He's kept to the inside to try and make me go around the outside of him. I'm peeing my foot on the power and I've got a lot more speed coming through Woodcut, and yeah, that's that move done as well. I wanted to show you guys the effect of tyre choice in these type of races. So we decided to stay on the wet tyre, especially because you can see there's some dark clouds coming. However, at the start of the race, it was the best tyre to be on, as you saw, because I've got so much more grip. Now it's starting to be that the dry tyre is the better tyre to be on, because I'm starting to really overheat these tyres and really not have a lot of grip. As you can see here, I'm starting to slide the car through the high speed, which is quite alarming when you're in the car, but it's great fun being in this thing, and it's very, very playful when you can start to slide it. It started to remind me of the BMW TiSa, where you can just slide the car and it's just so driver engaged. You can really drive, it's really driver focused. You can really play with it and hustle the car around these corners. You can see here I'm really having to slide the car and really hustle it around these corners to try and be as fast as I can. This GT3 car's on slicks, and you can see here he's decided to make the pass on me. I'm starting to fall through the order because I've decided to stay on the wet tyres, as I said. At this point it's definitely not the tyre to be on, but I'm making a bet that that rain's going to come, and later on in the race it did. Sadly, there was a red flag before we could capitalise on that, because everyone else was on slicks and we decided to stay on wets, but oh well, that's how races run. You can see here that I'm taking a little bit of a different line through some of these corners. I'm trying to search the standing water to try and cool down the tyres. At this point they're getting so hot because they're designed to be hot during a wet race. Well, the track's starting to dry a lot now. They're getting really, really hot underneath me. Definitely not the tyre to be on right now. You can see here I've not quite as got much front end stability, and you can see here I've really not got the rear end stability. I'm really having to slide this car and really hustle it into the bends. You can see here I'm having to really, really soar at the steering wheel, trying to keep the car going in a straight line, trying to keep it on the track. Yeah, it was really tricky to try and keep it on there, but it was great fun. You can see here I don't really have as much front end grip as I once was. I was sliding wide of the apex trying to cut back. I've been called in to pit this lap to try and swap with my co-driver Nigel Greensill. We'll get him in the car, and then eventually it did rain, but as I said before, sadly the race was red flagged. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe and share. Comment down below if you want to say anything, or if you want to see anything more from us, and give us ideas of what to do for you guys. And if you want to keep up with us day to day, please feel free to follow us on our social media handles in the description below.